The definition of kidnapping: to take someone away illegally by force, typically to obtain a ransom. I'm going to tell you 3 different stories about the kidnapping game. One involving Kelvin Doe, aka King Allah from Brooklyn, New York. And 2 involving Clarence Preacher Heatley from Manhattan. On Friday, May 22nd, Joanne Nichols, aka Mousie, left her home in Elmont, Long Island. She was driving her brand new Mercedes-Benz, going shopping to prepare for several cookouts that she was planning to attend during this Memorial Day weekend, when suddenly she was pulled over by 2 individuals posing as NYPD detective, driving an unmarked car, supposedly investigating the death of her husband, Lorenzo Nichols' parole officer, Brian Rooney. As Mousie exited her car, she was tied up and blindfolded and thrown into a dark colored cargo van with no window. She was escorted to an abandoned building in Brooklyn. Once inside the building, she was tied up to a wooden chair, still blindfolded. In a room, listened to a growling pit bull. She was told on several occasions that if the demand was not met, they was going to have the pit bull bite off her breast, one breast at a time, before they killed her. She was horrified by the thought of not ever seeing her kids, parent, family, and friends. And there was a good chance that her family would never find her body to give her a proper burial. When the kidnapper made contact with her family and instructed them on their demands, which include a hefty ransom of cash, drugs, and no law enforcement contact whatsoever. Of course, her parents, being civilian, contacted the police. Once Cat was notified on Rikers Island that his wife was kidnapped, he felt automatically it was a setup by law enforcement seeking to get him. Cat solicited the help of Mr. Gerald Miller, aka Prince. Prince played a major part in the negotiation process. Cat offered the kidnapper all his cars and jewelry. He refused to give them cash or kilos of drug. That was a major setback for the kidnapper. Mousie parent came up with $77,000 in cash during a holiday weekend after all the financial institution was closed. Prince dropped off the money to a location that was chosen by the kidnapper. Once they pick up the cash, fortunately, Mousie was released on Sunday, May 24th, back to her family. King Allah and his partners, they was not arrested until approximately a month later down in Baltimore, Maryland, when a SWAT team kicked in the door and arrested each and every one of them. King Allah, the master manipulator, he talked an alcoholic, a crackhead, a dope fiend into kidnapping one of the top drug lords in New York City, wife, off the street in broad daylight. On December 5th, 1989, Rich Porter, 12-year-old little brother, William Darnell Porter, was kidnapped in Harlem on his way to school and held for ransom. For 48 hours, his abductor tried to extort as much as $500,000 in cash from Rich. On the second day, the kidnapper cut off the little boy's right index finger and left it in a coffee cup in a McDonald's bathroom with a minute-long tape recording of the child pleading with his family to pay the ransom. Upon seeing the finger and hearing the recording, a member of Rich's family got the authority involved. Because detectives was now involved, Rich was unable to sell the coke to raise the ransom money. He also needed to get rid of the brick fast in order to buy his brother freedom. Strong rumor has it, Rich enlisted the help of his friend Alpo to help move the bricks. Poe ended up killing Rich and allegedly kept the bricks. A few weeks after Rich Porter murder, his little brother Darnell's body was found wrapped in 14 layers of plastic bags in the Bronx. Rich Porter's uncle, Johnny, was later found to be guilty of Darnell kidnapping. Uncle Johnny had enlisted the help of Clarence Preacher Heatley, and his crew, they kidnapped Darnell. Before Chris Brown, Neo, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, The Weeknd, Usher, R. Kelly, you have Mr. My Prerogative, Every Little Step I Take, Don't Be Cruel, Ronnie, Bobby Brown. He was Mr. Entertainer. He loved everyone and everything. His love for cocaine is what causes life-changing event in his life. Bobby used to purchase and at time receive large sum of cocaine on consignment with the agreement to pay back the debt later. As several months elapsed and Bobby had not made good on his outstanding debt, the preacher crew snatched up Mr. New Edition off the street and escorted the singer to an abandoned building, stripped naked and hogtied. He, Bobby, was allowed to make one phone call and one call only, and that was to his wife, the late Whitney Houston. Being the ride and die female that Whitney was, she came and delivered $400,000 in cash to Preacher personally. If Whitney did not pay that ransom, Bobby would have not been alive to tell the recently aired Bobby Brown story. Clarence Heatley, aka Preacher, they did not care about anything or anyone. Preacher and his crew was all cold-blooded killers. In my opinion, the Preacher crew was definitely one of the most fierce and dangerous group that ever walked the pavement of New York City. I have received numerous questions via emails, messengers, and DM. How would I have personally dealt with any beef with the Black Hand of Death crew? Honestly, it is no defense for the element of surprise. Was one of the reasons the Eminem crew wore bulletproof vests and moved for the most part without a weapon drawn, with the mentality of shooting first and ask question later. King Alar and Preacher are 5 years older than Fat Cat and Pappy, and 10 years older than the late Rich Porter and myself. They looked at us as if we was kids, and they believed it in their heart that we was all young boys that would not stand a chance against their brute force. Boy, was they wrong. Never underestimate the power of myself and so many others whom share the same mindset, that we was too deeply involved and showed no regards for the older individual that supposedly was more dangerous than we was.